What does pain do to the mind? And how does it alter our perception of time? Even though time moves forward, some moments are so painful, they keep pulling us back into the past. It's almost like pain has the power to collapse the distance of time altogether and make you relive the painful parts of your life over and over again. In this clip, we'll explore how pain bends your perception of time and the key to untrapping ourselves from the past. Let's first look at what happens when an experience gets burned into the mind. Imagine a hunter going out on a hunt. Then, he finds himself facing the deadliest predator. And for a brief moment, he came face to face with death. He escapes, but that experience stayed with him. It's anchored in his mind, shaping how he thinks and interacts with the world. In today's age, we don't experience something as visceral. But what happens when we experience something as emotionally deep? Like going through the worst financial crisis, or losing a loved one, or watching a dream fall apart. Some moments hit us so deep, they're imprinted in our minds and stay there for decades, causing effects that ripple through time. And sometimes those effects show up in places we least expected. So there's a woman on her wedding day, and she's walking down the aisle. Then she freezes, and for a split second, she doesn't see her future husband. She sees her ex, and the moment her trust died. For 5 seconds, time completely stops, and she's no longer at her wedding. She's back in that moment, back in that pain. Then, reality returns. She keeps walking, but now she's walking into her future with an old wound. Some pains are so deep, the mind never really moves past them. So imagine your life as a timeline. Somewhere along that line, something happened that left a mark. And we all have those anchor points in life. It might be the night your parents got divorced, the moment your partner cheated, or something someone said that made you question your worth. And even though years have passed, somewhere in your mind, you're still there. You might replay that moment over and over again, or something in your life triggers that old wound. And without realizing it, you project that wound onto the situation. And as a result, you misread that person's intention entirely. And that's how your past still casts a shadow over your life. And one reason your past still has power over you is because the emotions from those events still linger. You still feel the hurt, the anger, the injustice from those events. So a way to untrap ourselves is to resolve the lingering emotions in our minds. And here's what that looks like. A man gets fired at the age of 22, and he hears the words that crippled his confidence. You're not leadership material. And for the next 20 years, he could never fully shake those words off. He's 42 years old, but a part of him is still 22. Then one day, he decides to unpack what happened. And as he's writing things down, he realizes something. The boss who made that statement doesn't know how he will change or who he will become. And in that moment, he reinterprets the situation, and the parts of him that were trapped came free. We don't free ourselves by changing the past. We free ourselves by examining our interpretations of it. Because the 15, the 22, the 30-year-old version of you couldn't see what you see now. So when you revisit those wounds trapped in your mind, you're no longer a wounded person. You're the wise old sage who can make sense of what happened. And that's how you free yourself from the past. But pain isn't the only thing that traps us in time. Sometimes we're trapped by the timeline we create for ourselves. Most people carry an idealized timeline in their minds. The time they should get married. The time they shouldn't have to worry about money. The time they should own a house or have the flexibility to do what they love. And most of the time, the timeline in their minds doesn't line up with reality. They might be in their 30s and still haven't found the right person. Or they might face a financial setback somewhere along the way and find themselves nowhere near where they want to be financially. Most of the time, life unfolds differently from how we expected. And the real trap isn't us feeling bad about our lives. It's the decisions we make because of it. We rush relationships, take risks we normally shouldn't, force a lifestyle we can't afford. All to play catch up to the timeline in our minds. And underneath it all is one assumption. that certain milestones are supposed to happen at a specific age and time. And if your life falls outside that window, then you're behind. But if we think about it, that measurement is flawed because we all have different starting points in life. Wealth, good looks, a stable home, they all affect certain milestones on your timeline. And that's not accounting for the fact that things click for people at different times. Money, health, love. Some figure it out in their 20s, others in their 30s, 40s, or even 50s. The person who gets specific lessons later on in life didn't lose. Life just unfolds differently for everyone. And the moment we accept that, our timeline becomes a guide. And when you feel like you're behind in life, a hope to hold on to is understanding how God relates to time. To actually grasp this concept, we need to look at time from a different perspective. And the movie that captures this concept beautifully is Arrival. In the film, mysterious alien pods show all over the world, and no one knows why they're here. So the government sends in a linguist named Louise to make contact, to learn their language, and to ask them why they're here. But something unexpected happens as Louise learns their language. She starts seeing things, visions, fragments of a life she doesn't recognize yet. And the more fluent in their language she becomes, the clearer those visions get, until she finally understands. The aliens' language communicates across time, and the gift they came to give humanity was their language. By learning their language, we gain the ability to see time differently, not as events unfolding one after the other, but as something whole, where past, present, and future moments become visible. So Louise begins to see her future. She sees a little girl, running, laughing. She sees herself loving this child with everything she has. And then she sees her die. She sees it all, the joy and the grief, the beauty and the loss, inseparable. And despite knowing the painful future, she still chose to have her daughter. She shows love, knowing exactly what it would lead to. Louise embraced the entire path, even the parts that would one day hurt the most. The way Louise saw time, that's how God relates to time, but on a much larger scale. God doesn't experience time the way we do, moment by moment. He sees it whole, every chapter simultaneously. The moments that broke you, the moments still coming, the mistakes you haven't made. All of it fully known, which means those moments where you're trapped in the past and the moments where you feel like you're behind. God knows it all, and He doesn't just see your timeline, He works in it. Think of a tapestry. When you look at it from the back, it looks chaotic. Loose threads, knots, different pieces that don't seem to connect. But from the front, every thread has its purpose. The problem is we're forced to live life from the back, seeing only fragments that don't make sense. Joseph's life from the Bible shows exactly what living from the back of the tapestry looks like. His brothers betrayed him. He was sold into slavery. He was falsely accused and spent years in prison. And if you stop there, none of it makes any sense. Just moments of pain and a life falling apart. But years later, the picture became clear. Eventually, Joseph was brought out of prison. He accomplished the task no one in Egypt could, and Pharaoh raised him to one of the highest positions in the land. And looking back, Joseph could finally see what he couldn't while he was suffering. None of those chapters were random. None of it wasted. They were all pieces of a picture God had been weaving all along. And that's the hope you have when you give God your broken pieces. Those painful pasts and the time you've lost, God can weave those broken pieces into His tapestry to create one beautiful picture. If you guys like this clip, you're like the one where you tackle the question, how can God exist when there's so much pain and injustice in this world? You'll find that clip right here.